Can you beat Elden Ring as the Doomslayer? Is a question that I'm sure not a lot of people have asked themselves, but I still decided to check it out if you can do so. The main problem in making a Doomslayer build in Elden Ring is in choosing the right armor. The Bull Goat set somewhat looks like Doomguy's armor, and so does Radahn's set, but I decided to go with another armor set that most resembles the one that the Slayer wears. Yeah, that's about right. I made the character look as close to the Slayer as I could, and chose the proper equipment, like the super shotgun, being the jar cannon, Casta's fist weapons, and of course, the crucible. Besides that, frag and ice grenades were also an obvious choice. If you like Elden Ring, and if you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share, and hit the bell icon. This will greatly help in supporting the channel, and will certainly make me a happy koala.
Rip and tear until it is done.
With everything ready to go, I started a new save file on New Game Plus 4 and set out to rip and tear the unholy beasts of the lands between, starting with the Grafted Scion. Soldier of God, Rick, was definitely a lot more challenging than the Grafted Scion, and after a few hours worth of attempts, I just decided to abandon this boss fight as I just couldn't compete. I'm gonna say it outright. I just couldn't.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Oh no! Anyway.
Next up, Margit, who gave me quite a decent challenge as I was still adjusting to this kind of brawler-esque playstyle. Godric, as per usual, wasn't really that challenging, so yeah. I then had to massage Renalla's face with my fists, which also wasn't really challenging. With Renala defeated, I went to Lane Dell, and once again, I almost got pummeled to death by a Draconic Tree Sentinel. I danced around the spirit of Godfrey before finally putting him down. Morgoth was once again acting like a spoiled brat, and I was only able to defeat him after like half an hour worth of attempts. With Morgoth defeated, I went to the Redmane Castle just in time for the Radahn festival. The boss fight with Radahn has got to be like in my top 5 favorite boss battles in Elden Ring, simply because of how cinematic it looks. Radahn's lore and the music also add a lot of weight to the boss fight. Even if I defeated him on like my 15th try this time, I still had lots of fun. I then had to fight my impersonator, which was far more difficult than I'd like to admit. I then defeated Regal Ancestor Spirit, which I forgot to record, so sorry about that. Next on the chopping block was Estelle, who gave me a relatively decent challenge. And finally the Fire Giant, who, this time, didn't take half an hour to defeat, but only 2 minutes. I could have gotten a flawless no-hit run, but alas, I was too lazy to redo the boss fight. I suppose it's also a good time to say that I chose the bleed affinity on the Kestis fist weapons because of the fact that the Slayer does a lot of ripping and tearing, which usually, as a rule of thumb, leaves a lot of blood behind. And it kind of seemed appropriate. Right after that was Malekith, which I defeated via the use of the Flame of the Redmanes, which kind of could be used as a stand-in for the Flame Belch that the Slayer used in Doom Eternal. In actuality, I've had way too many attempts on this boss fight with the equipment that I used during the last boss fights, and Flame of the Redmanes was kind of like the only way I could defeat Malekith. With that out of the way, I had some funky time with Gideon. By the way, I was laughing my ass off while this was happening. Now, Godfrey. I've recorded 6 hours worth of attempts, where most times I died simply because I had no idea how to dodge his attacks in Phase 2, which are, by all accounts, bullshit, but still. Phase 1, on the other hand, was some of the most fun gameplay that I've had the pleasure of experiencing, figuring out the timings during the boss fight, predicting attacks and managing the resources. resulted in something that vaguely resembles a dance, which was just so damn fun. Moog and Malenia were next, and for that, I went to the consecrated snowfields, where the locals didn't really enjoy me being there. Oh, and before the boss fight with Malenia, I had to restock on my great boats, which I had to buy off of a merchant in Mount Gelmir. To reach him, you have to climb a lot of ladders, and while climbing the said ladders, this is what was playing in my head. Yeah, that's real fun, guys. Anyway, I reached Elfile and went straight to Malenia, which was definitely one of the boss fights in this game. Kudos to the person that figured out that you can bombard her with projectiles from afar. Watching her being helpless against this jar cannon was just infinitely fun. Phase 2, on the other hand, was quite tricky because of the fact that she was constantly doing attacks that I couldn't punish, so a phase which should have taken me less than a minute to complete turned out to last for 3 minutes. Not cool, Malenia, not cool. Moog was the boss that I had the least desire to fight, just because I have no idea how to fight this guy. I only defeated him once before this run, and that was on my first playthrough, where my Mimic tier did most of the job for me. Either way, I still was able to defeat Moog on the third try only because of Moog's Shackle. That item, combined with the tier that negates the damage you receive from his Nihil attack, completely nullifies all of the difficulty of this particular boss. Now for Placidius Axe. I wanted to test out if you could damage him while he was in his slumbering form, which you couldn't. That honestly made me sad because I thought I was doing a big brain move at the time, which resulted in nothing, but either way. I proceeded to the fight itself, which was long and arduous, lasting for 10-ish minutes, but due to how epic everything around me looked, I honestly didn't mind that. Rykard, on the other hand, was a goddamn pain in the ass. The god-devouring serpent phase at this point in my life is a breeze, while the second phase just makes me want to pull my hair out. He's so mobile, he's constantly casting the Rancor spell, there's stuff all over the screen, I can't lock onto him properly, his hitbox is wonky as hell, but abusing the game's mechanics was not enough for Rykard since I still came out on top. Now, I don't really have a lot to say about Radagon and Elden Beast, since all I did was spam with the weapon art, which is like the most reliable tool in the arsenal, damage-wise. I really didn't want to use the weapon art so much as the Slayer obviously doesn't have telekinetic powers in the games, but this was like the only feasible way that I could complete the challenge in time. With the Elden Beast defeated, the lands between were finally free of the corruption, and Doomguy could finally take the crown and become the Elden Slayer. Or is it Doomlord? I don't know. So, can you beat Elden Ring as the Doomslayer? Yeah, and you're gonna have a lot of fun doing so. This particular build is very versatile. The Jar Cannon is a really powerful long-range option for any build and is a godsend when fighting Malenia. The Regalia of Eocade has one of the most powerful weapon arts out of all of the weapons in the game, and the Castus Fists with the Blade affinity allow you to melt any foe standing in your way. The mods I used for this run are listed down below. It is a pain to set everything up, and there is always a risk that you might get banned for using them, but if you follow instructions when setting everything up, I'm sure you'll be fine. If you want to check out some other cool videos that I've done for Elden Ring, here's a good playlist. If you want me to make another cosplay playthrough, be sure to leave your suggestions down below. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, have a good one, peace.